There's a big statement coming in from the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who said that Canada wants to remain on ground in India. Justin Trudeau says presence in India needed to help Canadian families, and Canada is not looking to escalate situation with India. Canada will engage responsibly with India, and Canada will engage constructively with India. That's a statement that's come from the Canadian Prime Minister. The question is the Canadian Prime Minister now seeking to reduce tensions with India? He's made multiple statements in the past, from credible allegation to credible information to possible link, but nothing, absolutely nothing on credible evidence that will stand scrutiny in a court of law. Now, I quickly want to bring in our guests on this special broadcast. What should one make of Justin Trudeau's statement? Joining me on India First is Velina Chekharova, founder and geopolitical strategist of FACE and visiting fellow at the Observer Research Foundation. Ambassador Veena Sikri is a former top diplomat. Daniel Boardman is a senior journalist of the National Telegraph from Toronto. My first question is to India Today's Anisha Mathur, joining me with the latest on the story. Anisha, any word whatsoever from the Ministry of External Affairs yet on this Financial Times report? And in Canada, are there calls to seek evidence, or in the run-up to elections, is Trudeau continuing to adopt a tough posture?
Well, Gaurav, we've been seeing a lot of statements coming from Canadian politicians, even discussions. This issue had been raised in the Canadian Parliament a number of times. But as far as the Indian MEA is concerned, there has been no official word on this Financial Times report just yet. Of course, we did just hear from our report that Mr. Bagchi had very clearly said that India has been requesting for parity. But if you look at what is happening on the ground in Canada, the concerns of Indian origin people in Canada, the Indians in Canada, they are more worried about what this will do with regard to their visas, what will it do to people who want to come home for the winters, what it will do to the students who are waiting to go to Canada. So those are the concerns being raised by the ordinary person on the ground in Canada. But if you look at the politics of it all, there have been calls from the Conservative Party in the Parliament in Canada to call for a registry of foreign agents. There have been calls for the evidence to be brought out. There is a lot of very conflicting messaging that is coming in Canada as far as politics is concerned. But on the ground, the people are more worried about what it does to their families. Back to you.
And absolutely no one asking for action to be taken against Khalistani terrorists, of Canada being seen as another Pakistan, of Khalistani terrorists getting a free run in Canada. Let me bring in Velina Chekharova. Ma'am, how do you read India's actions and Justin Trudeau's response?
Well, thank you for the invitation. First and foremost, of course, the reactions are quite mixed, mostly coming out from the traditional American allies such as Australia, UK, and well, of course, also the United States, as we've already learned that the United States has apparently provided intelligence within the Five Eyes cooperation with Canada. Now here, first and foremost, we need to clarify that there is no sense, or let's say the level of understanding about the whole problem is quite low among the population in these countries, outside of this community. That is the first, I think, very important component. So you only have to look at how the media coverage was, how actually, he was, Nijjar was presented as, you have no information about any kind of terrorist related activities. That's the first narrative. Second important point is obviously the importance of the Sikh community within Canada from a political point of view. And this is already, I think, playing a major role ahead of the upcoming elections. So here what we need to actually discuss is how this, I would argue, domestic pressure on PM Trudeau, how this is already backfiring in terms of what the PM Trudeau decided to do and to announce. So this, I think, is the most important point. There are already informations that probably media leakage was the main reason why he actually decided to make the move and announced allegations. So we are still at the level of allegations. That is also important. And final point, what I think that we need to get an idea of is how practically this political component, that is to draw the attention away from the real problems. There is an ongoing investigation that has been just announced in Canada about an alleged interference with the Canadian elections coming from countries such as China. And I would argue that probably the timing of these allegations now linked to India is not coincidental.
Very interesting you say that. Daniel, is there an escalation in this diplomatic standoff seeking the repatriation of 41 Canadian diplomats? And in your appreciation, the statement that's come from Justin Trudeau, is he trying to backpedal now?
Yeah, I think Justin Trudeau's sort of come face to face with reality that, there's not much we could do here if we truly get into a diplomatic war with India. There's really only one legitimate punch that we can throw, which would be to freeze wire transfers and remittance payments from Indian Canadians back to India and hurt a few thousand families and cause a bit of a row there. But other than that, we don't really have another really haymaker to throw. So that's the only thing we really have in the chamber. And, firing it might result in more damage than good. So Trudeau is definitely trying to smooth things out. The rhetoric is we need India now, we need this, we need that. There is sort of, I'm not sure if it's a back pedal. This is more of a Trudeau side pedal because he doesn't really ever take responsibility. He just kind of oscillates in different directions and then says things, and then the media sort of picks up its own narrative, and hopefully everyone forgets what happened before we really care. That doesn't really work in foreign markets, but it is sort of a tactic he uses domestically.
Okay.
So I see this, you could say it's an escalation, but I'll make the argument that this actually might be a pathway for de-escalation here. I don't really buy the whole we need parity thing. Like, it doesn't really matter, 61-41. India's a capable diplomatic country. It is a good excuse, though, to create a situation, then this is a hypothesis, where the Indian government may look and say, okay, there's 61 diplomats, and knowing what I know about the Trudeau Liberals and the NDP and the current state of their affairs, not all of those people would probably hold, let's say, neutral opinions in India. I wouldn't be surprised if there's Khalistani sympathizers, Pakistani-linked people who the Indian government has a severe problem with. And you can look at this as, oh, it's an escalation, or is this an opportunity for Canada to actually pick and choose who stays and who goes? I think Trudeau has a chance here to say, all right, let's clean house and take out the worst anti-India actors, the people who might be the most antagonistic. And if he does that, I think that would be sort of a backdoor, under the table sign of good faith, that at least he understands there's an issue here and we can start to work towards a solution.
But is he actually going to do that, or just the opposite?